Okay, everyone, let's get started. Any latecomers that will join, we'll just admit them as they join the session. So I'm very excited for you to be joining today's webinar on resilience and fundraising. Warm welcome, and we're super excited here at Fair Collective to be hosting this session as part of Small Charity Week. My name is Wonu, and I am one of the more than 100 associates that make up Fair Collective. Fair Collective is a social enterprise that matches social good organizations with talented freelancers and consultants. We work with organizations of all sizes and specialize in smaller charities. We do day rates by charity income level and donate at least 50% of our profits to further our own mission of a fair charity sector. Thank you for giving us your time today. So I thought it'd be really great for all of us to do introductions. So if you're happy to, could you share your name, organization, where you're calling in from today, and one thing you aim to take away from today's session in the chat? Welcome back. Welcome, Sashi. Welcome, Amy. Hi, Kristen. Happy it's sunny over there. Hi, Anna, Ewan, Noor. It's really lovely to see participants from different parts of the UK, which is wonderful. Hi, Wahida. I used to work with Wahida. Hi, Wahida. Hi, Cameron, Julia. Perfect. Really great to see. Looking for inspiration today. I can completely understand that as a fundraiser, I think we're in need of daily inspiration. So very much hope we can get that from today's session. Hi, Becky, Joe, Eleanor. Fahiza, thank you so much, everyone, for putting that in the chat. Really appreciate it. My colleague Casey, who's also on the call, will be helping address any questions in the chat during today's webinar. So in case anything pops up, she can bring that to my attention to address. And just thank you so much for joining. There'll be definitely time at the end for questions, but again, if anything pops up during the webinar that you'd like to cover, please just let us know. We can definitely get to it at the end of the webinar or follow up with you directly. Feel free also to share LinkedIn details if you want to kind of network, use this as an opportunity to connect with other fundraisers or also the websites of your respective organizations as well. But thank you so much. Really excited again for today's session. So let's get cracking on that. So today's session will focus on a few different aspects of resilience in fundraising. We'll first kind of do an overview of the current funding landscape. We'll then cover income diversification and different modalities to explore for your respective organization if you're looking to diversify your income. We'll then do a bit of a breakout room exercise that'll take around 10 to 15 minutes for you to explore how you can do income diversification within your respective organizations. And then we'll kind of cover ways that you can boost your existing trust and foundations income. And then, as I said, hopefully there'll be some time for question and answers at the end. So the funding reality for small charities. Trust and foundations right now are going through, I think, quite a bit of an upheaval, and there's a lot of shifts within the wider funding landscape that small charities are trying to navigate and respond to. And the key changes that are happening right now with trust and foundations are mainly that they're either changing their strategic priorities, which may benefit your organization, or on the other hand, may be a disadvantage if that means they're no longer aligned to the work that you do. Or the trust and foundation may be sunsetting, so essentially winding down the operations and spending out. This means that small charities that have been reliant on trust and foundations income are scrambling to adapt or find new sources of income. The key consequences of that are that small charities are facing intense competition for grants and donations as the number of charities seeking funding rises. Individuals may also have less disposable income to donate to charities due to rising living costs, and small charities often experience a surge of demand for their services during these challenging times, in terms of kind of impacts within the economy and society and so on. And this is placing a further strain on existing limited resources. Skip to slide there. So this means that income diversification has been something that small charities really wish to explore in order to have sustainability in fundraising. So what are the benefits of income diversification? Diversification reduces reliance on a single income source, and it creates a more stable and predictable financial foundation. If your trust and foundation's income is struggling to remain consistent for the reasons I mentioned earlier, other sources can compensate for this, minimizing the impact on your operations. Multiple income streams can also contribute to the long term sustainability of your organization. Diverse funding allows charities to adapt to changing circumstances and seize new opportunities. Exploring different income streams can also connect your organization with a wide range of donors and supporters, and in turn increase your external visibility in the sector. Diversified income also reduces dependence on specific donors, providing more autonomy for your organization. In addition, a mixture of income sources can also make your charity more resilient to economic downturns and shifts in funding priorities. A diverse funding portfolio essentially can demonstrate to your donors and stakeholders that your organization is well managed and has broader support as well. So, we're now going to cover different kinds of income streams that your organization can explore adding to your funding portfolio. The first one is individual giving, and this might be an income stream that your organization has already explored in the past or is currently exploring, or might be thriving at the moment. But I think it's a really important one to cover, especially because I've seen a lot in the sector, a lot of organizations now really exploring individual giving as a trustworthy income stream from members of the public all the way to major donors, high net worth individuals. So it's quite a wide range there. So individual donors is essentially a crucial source of income for UK charities. While the landscape of giving is constantly evolving, individual giving remains strong. In 2024, the Charities Aid Foundation reported that the UK public donated an estimated 15.4 billion pounds to charity. Donations and legacies represent a significant portion of charitable income. According to the Charity Commission for England and Wales, these sources account for 31% of overall charitable income. So it's a really strong income stream that you may want to explore for your organization. Although fewer people are donating, those who are donating are giving more. The average monthly donation has increased to £72, which is really interesting to see that shift, but also means that there's a lot of potential there for giving. As mentioned, individual giving can range substantially from regular giving, so this could be around monthly or annual donations from the public. major donors. So cultivating relationships with high net worth individuals. How you define a high net worth individual really depends on your organization. I know some organizations that define major donors as those that give above £5,000, for example, as an average gift. For some organizations, it might be £1,000 or more. It really depends on the size of your funding portfolio. It's also worth mentioning that from experience, quite a few major donors turn out to start as regular givers, but they have the potential to actually give more. So it's really important to nurture relationships that you may have with your regular givers because they may end up becoming major donors in the long term. Another source of individual giving income is online fundraising campaigns, so using platforms such as Just Giving, for example, and legacy giving, so gifts and wills. And also just to link legacy giving, quite a lot of major donors also could end up giving legacy gifts as well, especially if they've been supporting your organization for a substantial amount of time. So it's really important to also just keep that in mind in terms of how you nurture those relationships and the long term kind of giving potential that those relationships can have for your organization. Another income stream they may wish to explore, and I think this really depends on the kind of work that your organization does to see if this is viable. But I think it's an income stream that's definitely been more up and coming, especially in recent years, is income generation. So in 2023, £7.78 billion was generated by UK charities through other trading activities. So this category includes income from sources like selling goods, so charity shops on the high street, for example, charging for services, and membership fee. This figure hugely demonstrates a significant contribution from diverse income generation activities and a significant contribution to the financial health of the charity sector. So things that you can consider if you wish to explore income generation for your organization is charging fees for events, workshops, or training that you may be delivering, developing membership programs with associated benefits, creating subscription-based services, or selling products or services that are related to your charity's mission. Another income stream that you may want to explore are corporate partnerships. According to the Charities Aid Foundation in 2023, FTSE 100 companies alone contributed £1.82 billion in total corporate giving. And this figure encompasses cash donations, in-kind contributions like goods or services, and employee volunteering time. It's important to note that this substantial figure does only focuses on the largest companies. So there's the broader landscape of corporate giving, including small and medium-sized enterprises and other forms of partnership beyond direct financial giving. And this shows the huge potential that corporate funding can have for your organization. So different avenues that you can explore include seeking sponsorship for events or programs that you do, developing employee fundraising initiatives, establishing corporate social responsibility, so CSR-based partnerships, as well as securing in-kind donations from businesses, so use of office space, materials, laptops, computer, like tech gear, whatever could be relevant to help you deliver the work that you do, and it could also reduce overhead costs. So it's worth kind of thinking outside the box of what that corporate support could look like. I also advise looking at the local, regional, national level for corporate sponsorship and partnership. So looking at local businesses within the local community, but also in within your county as well as on the national level. So kind of think about businesses that may want to give back to local initiatives that's happening in in the area in which they operate, as well as kind of corporate organizations that or companies rather that support initiatives across the UK and more broadly as well. Another income stream is community fundraising. And for me, this one's quite holds a dear place in my heart as I started off my career in community fundraising. Um, so, according to the Charities Aid Foundation, in 2024, the UK public donated an estimated £15.4 billion to charity, and this includes, covers all forms of public donation, so direct debit, online giving. So, a substantial portion of this would definitely have originated from community fundraising activities such as sponsored events, local initiatives, charity collections, as well as individual challenge events. I think during COVID, and I think most of us, probably all of us, realized the impact that that had on the sector, and especially fundraising events, really impacted, people being able to meet in person and conduct these kind of events in, that require, yeah, large scale organization and, thousands of participants. But I think in the wake of the last couple of years, community events have definitely been kind of more up and coming and are kind of taking more of a precedence again, and it's becoming a viable income stream again for quite a few organizations. And this large figure that I mentioned, the £15.4 billion that have been raised from public donations, definitely again shows the public's willingness to support charitable causes despite the cost of the living crisis and struggles within the economy. So different, events that you can organize if you wish to kind of build out a community fundraising income stream include fundraising events. So they can be very kind of low key, low cost events, bake sales. You can ask your supporters to, make cakes and, sell them, local community events. You can organize entertainment events as well. If any of your supporters, are musicians or, magicians or, just love kind of, doing kind of performance based activities, they can maybe organize something for your organization for free. And you can raise money on the back of that. Also engage with local community groups and clubs to see if they can help do fundraisers. Working with schools and churches as well. You can organize presentations at schools and churches to talk about your work and also do a fundraising drive at the back of that. You could also explore the community giving circles, so creating a giving circle of local members of the communities in which you serve, and see if they want to kind of organize events together, or do that kind of a donation run, together. That's something that you can also explore, and also organizing sponsored events or signing up to kind of the large scale ones that take place across the country and buying places for that as well, some marathons and cycle events and so on. I think someone might be off mute. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. So the next income stream is digital fundraising, and I think in just kind of line with societal development and the rise of tech and AI and so forth, this is definitely something that's been becoming more and more popular. I think definitely over the past decade or so. A significant portion of the UK population are actively engaging with charities through online platforms. So in 2023, 44% of the UK public donated to charity using online giving. So, donations through your own website. If your organization has a website, you can also have a donation page for that, and driving traffic to that through, campaigns you may do, fundraisers you organize, utilizing social media channels, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc., Instagram. You can also use digital fundraising and crowdfunding platforms, so GoFundMe, Kickstarter, Crowdfunder, some prominent ones. You can also explore online advertising, so Google Ads, that kind of thing, and explore that to drive more traffic to your website, and increase your online visibility as well. And there's also targeted email campaigns that you can also develop as well, to raise income. So now we're going to go to a breakout room exercise. We'll have around, I would say, 15 minutes or so to do this exercise. So I think that we can have like around 10 minutes for the actual exercise and then 5 minutes for anyone that wants to share feedback. So I thought it'd be really interesting for you to kind of break out into groups and maybe share success stories that you've had around income diversification. So maybe a successful crowdfunding campaign that you've had, um, income generation strategy that you've developed that's been successful, individual donor program they may have developed, etc. And on the flip side, also discuss challenges you've had around diversification, so resource constraints, staff capacity, or just maybe challenges in identifying suitable alternative income streams. And then as a group, discuss and strategize 1 to 2 actionable steps you can each take to work towards diversifying your income in the next 3 to 6 months. Um, so as I said, we can go into groups and then for around 10 minutes or so, and then have a chat for around 5 minutes. I'm going to put here the exercise in the chat, and then we'll put you into breakout groups. Are there any initial questions? Okay, great. Casey, would you be able to help put the group into breakout rooms?
Yes, how many would you like?
There's around 78 of us on the call, so maybe you can aim for like 5 per group.
Okay, yeah. Mm, you should have all got an invite to a breakout room now.
Perfect. Thanks, Casey. I see there's still some members of the group. Are we our own breakout room here?
I think there are 10 people still here. Um,
Okay. Hi everyone. Do you want to have a chat within this group, or do you want to join? Have you not joined a meeting, a breakout room yet?
maybe they're away from their desk. Um,
Okay,
yeah.
could be.
There were some questions in the chat, wonder about should I just paste them in here for
Yeah, that
you?
would be great. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, Casey.
no worries. Mm, I can't direct message you, so can I email you then,
Yeah,
maybe?
sure.
Thank you.
I think around 2:39. No, sorry, 1:39. So I'm looking at my time. We can bring everyone back in.
Okay, yeah. I haven't done breakout rooms before, so do I just literally press close all rooms at
I think so. And
1:39?
then everyone will
Okay,
come back.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for sharing those questions. I will address them. Um, Now, oh, Casey, you're on
Oh, sorry.
mute.
Should I realized, sorry, should I have paused the recording?
Oh, sure, you can. Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Excited to get more participants to the group. Does any of the group want to share any reflections or actions? We can just give around 5 minutes for that if anybody wants to share any feedback on how they found the session or key takeaways they took from it.
I'm happy to share what our group said.
Perfect. Thanks.
I'm Claire. I'm from Gingerbread and a single parent family charity. We are a small charity. There's only 11 of us. We in our group we had a real mix of people, a couple of consultants who work with smaller charities, and some people who are one person band plus the cleaner, and a real mix. But I think the overarching feeling was that it's just overwhelming and we need help. We all need help. It's do we try and juggle loads of balls or do we just focus on a few? Um, and sometimes we can be really distracted by the minute details of certain things like gift aid forms, and then that just takes up so much time. And what's the best way of managing that workload? So, um, but the I think the best tip was make the most of volunteers, get some case studies, use them, say your story, use it so many different times that you can. I think that's right. What Marcus was saying, and just maximize the small things that you do have. That was us.
Thanks so much, Claire. That's really helpful, and I know the struggle is really real for charities right now, especially small charities. And I think that's such a good point in terms of kind of what are your priorities and allocating to resources um, based on the priorities that you've identified and ensuring that you're not stretched too thin essentially. And we'll get to this in a bit following this discussion in terms of kind of is income diversification right for you. There's some organizations out there that really thrive on just focusing on one or two income streams because that's all they have capacity for, or they really thrive in it and they want to invest just solely in that. So it's really doing what's right for your organization and definitely utilizing a volunteer base, to support you with your online communications and visibility and case studies and so forth. And, maybe they can also help kind of run fundraising initiatives on your behalf, especially around community fundraising, for example, or, other initiatives. So there's definitely a lot of potential there too, especially if you're resource thin. But thank you so much for sharing that feedback from the group. Um, any additional reflections? Just have around 2 minutes. And you can also pop any reflections in the chat as well. That's also fine. Okay. So let's continue. And of course, there'll be opportunity for discussion, reflections, and questions at the end. Okay. So income diversification, as I was saying, is it right for your respective organization? Diversifying your funding isn't a universal answer to raise more income. I really wish it was. I really wish just, we can just, you know, say, this is our wish and, all be solved. But it is something to really kind of think about for your organization if you're willing and able to make the right investment into it to see what the results can be and if it's something that, you can viably take on. So again, as we've kind of covered in this presentation, it can be a powerful strategy for sustainability, for increasing external awareness about your work to new donors and different audiences. But it's only right if it aligns with your organizational capacity, mission, and long-term goals. As I mentioned briefly earlier, some charities feel it's best to actually specialize in fewer income streams and thrive in that way because they just do it based on the resources they have, or they've been able to just keep it sustained over a period of time. So, for example, if you really thrive in like trust and foundations income and you really want to grow that, trying to get multi-year funding to ensure sustainability, or supplement that with maybe a few events a year, or donations from one or two major donors. On the other hand, some organizations really thrive more from kind of individual community fundraising based support and foundations. Maybe it's something they've tried, but they want to kind of see where that can take them and they want to diversify into that. So I think it's really good to just kind of figure out what works best for you in terms of the resource they have available, the networks that you have, and see what might work best for you, and also what could be, also low cost as well they want to pursue. And lastly, really ask yourself, if it's feasible, do you have the resources to implement and oversee income diversification? And if it's something they do want to explore, maybe just trying one new income stream at a time. So maybe, just prioritize for the next 3 to 6 months, one particular income stream and seeing how that goes for you. And, trying it out as a pilot. So yeah, really kind of make that judgment call based on what works for your organization. So now we'll cover trust and foundations income. And if you have that as an organization, how you can boost your income in light of kind of the challenges right now that we're facing in the sector. So the first recommendation is reviewing your prospect research strategy. And one key tip I recommend is taking an intersectional approach to expanding your pipeline. And what I mean by that is a way that you can break up your work into smaller kind of thematic areas that could appeal to a wider range of donors. So one example is, for example, let's say your organization aims to improve water and sanitation facilities in rural communities in sub-Saharan Africa. You can find donors that are interested in improving health outcomes. That would be of interest to them. Provision of water and sanitation facilities. That would also be of interest to them. Community development, because if you're building more facilities, it benefits the wider community. So it'd be of interest to donors that are interested in, developing communities. Or if identify donors that wish to support girls to attend school, or basically girls' education, that could also appeal to them because quite a lot of girls, unfortunately, do not go to school because they're kept behind at home to walk far distances to fetch water. So within that, we've been able to kind of break down that one mission area into several smaller areas or subcategories that could appeal to a wider range of donors. So it's worth looking at your respective areas of work and seeing how, you could appeal to donors that, fund different areas, but they're all aligned with what you do. That could also help expand your pipeline of prospective donors that could fund your work. And of course, when conducting outreach to that donor, you really kind of emphasize that thematic alignment where you see it. So it's really clear in the concept notes or proposal that you put to them. Another recommendation is investing in research funding tools. So there are quite a few now available in the market. Some are free and some do require a subscription fee. But free ones include Charity Excellence, which I'm sure many of you are aware of, Get Grants, Funds for NGOs, which also has a newsletter that shares funding opportunities that can be accessed for free. And Bond, which specializes in more kind of international development opportunities, but they also have quite a lot of funders listed there. So there's a lot of free resources available for you to access funding opportunities. And if there's any others that you can think of that I have not mentioned, please feel free also to put them in the chat as well. Another source of additional new funders that you can look at are funders that have supported your peers. I definitely recommend having a look at the websites of your peers in case they have listed any new funders that have supported them in recent years, and also the recent annual reports to also see funders that have, supported them in the last, 3 to 5 years or so that maybe that aren't on your radar and could now be. Another avenue to pursue is following prospective donors within your sector on LinkedIn and signing up to their newsletters if they have any. That's a good way to really kind of keep up to date with, any call for proposals or any shifts happening there that could impact their viability for you as a prospect, or again could also open up opportunities again if they have a call for proposals, or they recommend any funding opportunities that could be of interest to you. And more generally, I just advise monitoring the landscape and seeing where new opportunities may lie. So again, keeping abreast on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, signing up to sector resources like third sector, for example, and seeing any opportunities that they promote within your service area that could be of interest to you as well. Another way to boost your trust and foundation's income is definitely making the most of your existing relationships. So as I mentioned earlier, income diversification is something to pursue if you really feel it's right for your organization. Prospect research is also a really important way to kind of identify new funders or new funding opportunities that maybe you haven't been aware of. But I always say the first thing to do is looking inward first. And of course, I think new funding is always good for diversification, but it's not always the kind of instant solution. Prioritizing your current donors is really important. They're already invested in your mission and the work that you do. So where it's viable, where there's an opportunity, definitely seek top-up funding. Right now, obviously, it's a really tough time for the sector. Trust and foundations are aware of that. And I'm aware of quite a few trust and foundations in the work that I do that have really invested more in their current grantees and trying to provide them with emergency support and funding. So if you haven't had those conversations already, it's definitely worth having that and seeing how they can, provide you with additional funding and support. I believe there was a question earlier from Nina around how helpful or unhelpful it is to kind of tell funders about challenges you're going through. And I think it's really important to be open and, do kind of, it's really important to be mindful about the communications. So, framing it that, the work is imperative and, you do want to ensure that you can continue to deliver, and you're also realistic that some shifts need to happen. So your mission and vision is very, um, it's important, and it's really important to ensure that it can continue to go ahead as as much as you can as planned, and how they can support you on that journey. So not basically, it's a fine balance of not causing you know concern, but also being very open that you do need support to ensure sustainability and you can continue the work that you do. And they've been with you on this journey so far, and you'll love them to continue being on this journey with you. So, really framing those communications and being mindful of how that come across. But essentially, yes, be honest and transparent, and use it as an opportunity to reassure the donor of how much you recognize their partnership and how they can really play a key role in helping you navigate challenges that you may be going through right now. Another thing to explore is exploring really allocating existing funding. So let's say you have a restricted grant or program grant from a trust and foundation. Maybe you can ask them if they can change it to be an operational grant or core funding, because you have urgent needs that you need to allocate funding to. Some trust and foundations may be open to this. Another avenue I definitely explore, worth recommended for you to explore is reconnecting with lapsed donors. So re-engaging with trusts and foundations who have supported you before. Definitely first research potential challenges. So maybe like this donor has closed and they're no longer operational, or maybe they have shifted priorities. But if it's simply the case, like, the priorities haven't changed, they're still running, but there's just been a kind of a gap in communication. Now is a really opportune time to kind of reconnect, to let them know what you've been working on, ask what they've been working on, what their strategic focus areas are, and then pick up conversations again. Indicate where there could be alignment with your strategies, your philosophies, and expressing the need to rebuild relationships. So that's also something that you can explore as well within your existing pipeline. Another way to boost your trust and foundation's income is making the most of existing relationships. I see actually you're quite short on time, so I'm going to run through this quite quickly. Using kind of online and offline methodologies. So, personalized email updates. If that's something that, you might not have the resources to do, seeing volunteers can help with that. Inviting them, donors to any organizational events you may be doing online and offline. Raising awareness of partnerships on social media, via LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and so on, to acknowledge the donors that support you, sharing newsletters, annual impact reports that you may have. So just ensuring that your stewardship strategy is in place, and you can really use it to kind of make the most of your existing relationships and hopefully encourage additional funding support now and in the near future. So that's the presentation. I'm sorry, there's only just a couple of minutes left for questions and answers, but I'd love to get to any questions that I can. And if not, I can provide my email address so you can reach out to me directly on email or on LinkedIn. Okay, I saw there was a question around the funding search facility. So yes, Charity Excellence and Get Grants. That's correct. Um, I'm happy to share the links to both here. And yes, the slides will be shared, and this presentation will also be shared too, the recording. Any questions from the group. And please feel free also to put them into the chat in case we haven't captured. Thanks, Liz. Any questions from the group? Okay, that's completely fine. Casey, I can share what would be the easiest way to kind of, for any follow-up questions that may come up. Can I just share my email or redirect through to Fair Collective?
We don't mind. Yeah, if you want to share your email or your LinkedIn, or
Yeah,
that would be
I'll
great.
do that.
Yeah.
I'll share my LinkedIn now. So you can all just send me a message. Any follow-up questions you may have that we weren't able to cover. And you're very welcome to reach out. It's Vic's face there, the lovely Vic's face, but it's very much me. Okay, sure. My email is okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time today. And again, please just reach out on LinkedIn or email for any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Cheers.